The basic elements of pest prevention and control are exclusion, restriction, destruction, and monitoring. Preventing rodents from gaining access to buildings can be a very difficult task, especially when considering that a house mouse is able to squeeze through a gap of about 6 millimeters, about the same width as a biro pen. Also, both rats and mice have very hard, continuously growing incisor teeth that enable them to chew into hard materials such as wood, giving them the ability to enlarge gaps and provide access to areas where food may be present. House mice are very good climbers and are not just restricted to gaps below doors for access. Pipes, cables, loose pointing, weep holes and air bricks can provide access to buildings, and all should be filled or covered with a suitable product to help deny access. Gaps below doors should be reduced to less than 5 millimeters to prevent access. This can be done in several ways, but often the most convenient and least disruptive is by fitting a nylon bristle strip to the base of the doors. Holes in the building fabric, both inside and outside, should be filled with sand and cement or some other resilient material, and air bricks should be fitted with a stainless steel mesh to help keep rodents out. The primary requirement for restricting rodent activity inside a building is good hygiene management. Most pests will only take up residence inside if there is a readily available food supply and a suitable harbourage. So, regular cleaning of spilt food, covering and the regular removal of waste from buildings, and the storage of edible items in sealed containers are all vital elements of restricting pest activity. Access to wall cavities is also important, as concealed cavities are a favoured location for rodents to breed in, so any gaps or holes which give access to voids should be sealed. Killing rodents can be done using chemicals or using physical means such as traps. Most rodenticides are chemicals that kill rodents by interfering with the blood clotting process. They are normally applied as a bait formulation where the rodents ingest the active ingredient during feeding. They can be applied as a liquid, which relies on the rodent to drink it, or as a dust, gel, or impregnated wick, where the rodent will pick up the active ingredient on its fur and ingest it during grooming. The type of rodenticide chosen will depend on the species to be controlled, the premises, and the location of the infestation within the premises. All rodenticides are hazardous to non-target animals such as pets, wildlife, and farm animals, and should not be used without first gaining a good understanding of how they can be applied safely. All Rentokil technicians are fully trained. The Rentokil radar unit is unique within the pest control industry as a system that uses carbon dioxide as the active ingredient. Exploiting the mouse's natural instincts to explore, the radar system works by detecting the presence of the mouse within the device, triggering the doors to close, and then releasing carbon dioxide at the same time. Physical spring traps for the quick and humane dispatch of rodents still have their part in rodent control, especially in areas where the use of toxic substances may be considered too hazardous. Glue boards may have a role in certain circumstances, but only as a last resort, and where there is an immediate risk to food safety. Monitoring for rodent activity is a very important part of any pest control program. Not only does it give an early warning that unwanted pests may have gained access to a premises, it also gives information on the extent and level of the activity. All of these are vitally important when planning and carrying out the necessary control measures. Non-toxic rodent monitoring can be carried out using a bait base which does not contain an active ingredient. These are checked on a regular basis to look for evidence of feeding. A more scientific approach has been adopted using similar technologies to those used in the radar unit. This time, however, instead of creating a trap, the mouse causes a light to flash when it has entered a box. The frequency of the flashes indicate the time elapsed since the mouse passed through. While monitoring devices have a useful part to play, they may not be telling the whole story, and the information they give should be backed up by an inspection from a qualified pest control operative. Droppings, smear marks, urine, footprints in tracking dust, and evidence of gnawing will all indicate the presence of rodents, and to the experienced eye, indicate the extent and location of the activity. Following the Rentokil approach of exclusion, restriction, destruction and monitoring will ensure that rodent pests do not pose a risk to your premises and livelihood.